Welcome everybody to the latest episode of Celebrating Entrepreneurs, brought to you by Hatch Ventures, one of the leading EIS venture capital firms in the UK, supporting a lot of very exciting young startups. So those of you who've seen some of the programs before realise what we're really trying to do is put in front of everybody some of the fast growing, exciting businesses that are around in the UK today, backed by Hatch Ventures, as well as celebrating the wider importance of what entrepreneurship brings to the economy. So I'm very pleased to be joined by one of the partners at Hatch Ventures, Simon Penson. Simon, good to see you again.
Yeah, and you. No, thank you for organising.
Now, I stumbled through the introduction, so if you could, and I know you will in a slightly more articulate form, why is Hatch Ventures supporting this sort of initiative on celebrating entrepreneurs?
Yeah, good first question. Useful for us to answer that. I think it stems from the fact that we are collectively as partners, we have been entrepreneurs ourselves, and I think because of that very fact, we're very passionate about supporting them. You know, we've been there, we bought the t-shirt, we kind of really understand how lonely and tough that taking on that level of risk is, and particularly given the year, I think that we've all had that loneliness and that toughness has kind of been escalated to 10 plus. So for that reason, we felt it was very much time to do something and actually stand up and say, actually, well done. These men and women are putting everything on the line, physically and mentally, to build these businesses and actually create the jobs that quite frankly our economy is going to need moving forwards. And so it's very much time to back them now, I think, and help them reshape the economy.
Super, that sets the scene really nicely. And today I'm really excited by the guy who's joining us, because he's both an entrepreneur and he's created a platform to help fund existing and sort of future entrepreneurs. So welcome, Dan Rodwell, the founder and the chief executive of GrowthInvest. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Lawrence. Yes, good to be here. And yeah, very quickly, thanks very much to Simon and the team at Hatch for having me on. Very much looking forward to it.
So as I said, Dan, you're both an entrepreneur and now through the business that you founded, GrowthInvest, are helping to support and fund a lot of these kind of these businesses, ones that Hatch likes as well. So just start a little bit of your story and then kind of briefly what is GrowthInvest?
Okay, yeah, so my story, I spent 17 years working in financial markets as a trader and fund manager, which was good. I was never really in a large institution. It was always smaller, more entrepreneurial businesses. Around the financial crisis of 2008, there was I started looking around. There was definitely a feeling that I wasn't growing, that whilst there were financial rewards around what I was doing, I wasn't really creating anything of value. That tied in at the same time as I made some EIS investments and became increasingly kind of interested in the entrepreneurial economy. So I made the jump around 2012 and came into this market, and fundamentally our business is and was built around trying to support entrepreneurs. On the back of that financial crisis, access to finance for entrepreneurs was very, very difficult, and we saw a big lift in the EIS market, a number of players coming in trying to solve this problem where the banks just weren't providing finance to the young companies that are the future of our economy. So we looked across the market, or I looked across the market, and there was the crowdfunding model evolving. There were angel networks, lots of different sources of capital that with varying efficiencies, and we decided that one area that was important for us was the area of the wealth management and financial advisor networks. Now, the fundamental view there was that in servicing their high net worth, their most valuable clients, advisors have to deliver interesting investment opportunities for the 10% of the portfolio that doesn't go into main market assets. So we saw that, you know, that area should be a growth area in the coming years. We also saw that fundamentally advisor businesses were run on platforms in across the main market, but there was no platform that supported EIS, VCT, you know, other tax efficient structures and the wider alternatives market. And, you know, it felt to us like there's a problem we can solve. You know, it's arguably more important because EIS, all of these alternative structures are very admin heavy, you know, paper heavy, and, you know, so a platform really could, you know, help to drive flow. And importantly, you know, we can give some technology and process to the advisor so that they can spend more time talking to their clients. Ultimately, that will drive flows into the sector and benefit the underlying companies and entrepreneurs within.
And then Simon, just sort of turning to you, because this the Hatch EIS offerings are available on the GrowthInvest platform, I know. But what Dan summed up there is almost one of the sort of kind of classic sort of themes that that Hatch looks for, which is, you know, identifying a problem and then finding a solution, and often that solution is a technology-based one, and which sort of Dan has clearly sort of identified. And the 10% might not sound like a big market in terms of, you know, compared to main market offerings, but it's clearly an important part of the business. So it's a, you know, it's a classic problem-solving solution, isn't it?
It really is, and I think, you know, we're very pleased to kind of partner with GrowthInvest, principally because I think they do a really fantastic job at kind of educating investors, quite frankly, around EIS and SEIS, because still, you know, which is, you know, dumbfounding to some in the industry, why more people aren't aware of the opportunities is amazing, particularly with, you know, what may be coming with CGT, etc. So I think they do an amazing job of, you know, of bringing that to light and actually helping funds like ours, giving us the chance really to do our best work, because like any good industry, any good movement really, which this kind of, you know, often feels like, you know, you're a sum of the parts. And I think, you know, a business like GrowthInvest is a very important part of that, because if you know, as alone, we can't educate enough people to the benefits. You know, they do an amazing job of that, help us raise key funds to be able to then do our work, i.e. investing and backing these entrepreneurs, you know, and without that, the future doesn't get built, right? It really is that simple. If you look across the pond and, you know, see what's happened, you know, the last 10 years in the US, you know, particularly, but obviously other markets as well, you know, we had fallen behind. And I think in recent couple of years, we've really started to catch up. And a lot of that is through the good work of, you know, businesses like GrowthInvest. So yeah, very important to us, and, you know, long may it continue.
Now, Dan, coming back to you, I mean, you're an entrepreneur. As you say, you've been hard at this for a number of years now. What are the kind of challenges that you've sort of faced? Simon and I have talked in the past about the importance as an entrepreneur of kind of learning from some of those kind of those down moments where you feel things are not going your way. What are the sort of, you know, what are the kind of lessons that, Dan, that you've kind of found over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years?
Yeah, it's a very good point. We've learned a lot, let's say. I mean, very quickly to summarize, you know, where we are right now, we enable financial advisors to onboard their existing client portfolios in tax efficient assets so that they can manage those and report on those, and then to invest digitally in new products. And it's been an evolution to get there. When we first launched as a platform in the advisor market, we were very much trying to facilitate investment directly into individual deals. And, you know, we got some traction. We started talking to the advisor market, but the overriding feedback was that, you know, they needed to invest on behalf of their clients into managed products. So funds such as Hatch, you know, and others. Investing directly, there were a number of, you know, compliance and advice related reasons why they wouldn't do that. So, you know, quite early in our life, if that makes sense, we did, to use the the term pivot. I never like to use that, but we listened to what our clients were saying and we built out the offering to fit that. So, I'm very proud to say that now we have a whole of market view across VCT, EIS, and inheritance tax products. And that was a core pivot for us, that it was all about engage with the clients, learn what they need. If you've got it wrong, you're reducing your market. So let's build something, because ultimately it's about unlocking capital and making it easy for advisors to invest in this space. So I think that's the first thing. And then very quickly, a big hurdle, EIS in particular had a pretty bad reputation historically, 10, 20 years ago. And the feedback we were getting was, the tax relief's almost too good. There were tax schemes historically that were questionable, and to the extent that tax got claimed back. There was a big barrier in the advisor market and with the clients where they just didn't understand the products at all anyway. And this is where we addressed that way back when, a few years ago, when webinars such as this weren't quite as commonplace, but we launched the GrowthInvest Advisor Hour, and that's been a huge success as a separate strand to our platform proposition in educating advisors right across the market, giving a forum to new fund managers, innovative products to talk to that market as well. So the first example there is how we had to change our business to when we learned from the clients. The second one is how you can innovate, however simple it may be, to try and solve problems that are blockers to your growth.
Simon, just can I pick up on that point that Dan's made, which always seems to me a really obvious one, but in my experience, a lot of people actually don't do it, which is kind of listen to your customers and listen and really learn, as opposed to just saying, yeah, I hear what you say, and then ploughing on. How important do you Hatch feel this issue of really listening to the customers and then adapting, or to use the word Dan did, potentially pivoting your offering to reflect those needs of the customers?
Yeah, very is the short answer. And actually, funny enough, we recently wrote a post on this very subject, really, around how we kind of measure what a good kind of entrepreneur looks like. That flexibility and ability to pivot through listening to feedback is, absolutely critical to the kind of measure of whether we invest or not, actually. So yeah, it's very good when you hear that, because quite frankly, it's very easy for an entrepreneur to, particularly when you're in the early stages, you get your head down, you're running at 100 miles an hour, you're solving 10 problems an hour or a day, and you kind of almost lose that connection with the thing that's actually the only thing of value, which is the audience. And therefore, when you come across a change, and I think you were right, Dan, to talk about those kind of negative connotations that the EIS market had for a while, and that it had almost strangely become connected with the stuff that was happening around the tax evasion products and stuff at the time, or avoidance, whichever way around you want to look at it. And it was never the case. And actually, the tightening up of what does qualify and all that kind of stuff now has really pulled the EIS out of that, thankfully. But that needed educating again. So the fact that you've done that with IFAs and with kind of end investors is really important. And yes, in those kind of scenarios, those environments, a pivot was needed. And as I said, we're pleased it happened, because the partnership certainly works really well for us now.
And Simon, on the broader issue that Dan's focused on with the business, which is communication, education. To you, I mean, obviously, you ran a business, you successfully sold a business that was in the world of communication. I mean, it's now called content marketing. I mean, you and I are probably old enough to remember when it wasn't called content marketing, it was called simple communication. But there again, for businesses, there's a kind of, I think there's a real importance, isn't there, about making sure that your customers, your audience, really kind of understand what you're doing. And a lot of that is, simple, I say simple communication, but that's quite hard to do, isn't it?
It is. I'm a massive fan of simple, actually, and again, coming back to how we measure the quality of a potential investment, actually that always things through critical, alongside perhaps highest priority, which is, early stage, which is actually looking at quality of team. Actually, that kind of quality of vision and the simplicity of vision is really important. And for me, yes, of course, I'm going to be biased because of my background in, kind of connecting audiences to brands. There isn't, I can't look past the fact that, there is not a business in the world that has any value if they don't get that connection to audience right. So, you have to put that forefront of all your thinking, your strategy, your tactical roadmap, all of that kind of stuff first. So.
Lovely. Right, Dan, coming back to you, let's so there's kind of two parts really to the Growth Invest sort of proposition. One for the fund managers, one for the advisor community. So firstly, for the fund managers, kind of what is the offering, as it said? What is Growth Invest trying to do for fund managers like Hatch?
Well, I mean, fundamentally, the premise behind our platform with our advisor clients is one of diversification. It's particularly now that EIS is so clearly pointed towards the growth companies that it's a very exciting space, but it is higher risk than some of the previous asset-backed kind of deals that went on. So diversification of a client's portfolio is a primary motive for advisors. And what we as a platform do is enable funds such as Hatch to come onto the platform. They are visible on our platform, and that can be new fund managers that have only just started, alongside the more established funds that have been in EIS for the last 30 years. And it puts them on a level playing field. It enables them to convey their proposition to advisors that may not find them. You've got to think. The reason we're here is this is a hugely disparate marketplace, and prior to platforms coming into this space, it was a case of attending breakfast, lunches, meetings, landing on a website to learn about new managers. And so, that's a core part of our proposition. And I think, for funds such as Hatch there's been, which is great, there's been a huge growth in new EIS managers, that specialist entrepreneur-led type products, which is, I think, really good for the market, and to engage with people like ourselves, other platforms, to increase visibility to the wider advisor community is a really important thing. And on top of that, we've touched on the Growth Invest Advisor Hour. Whilst that's an educational forum, 100%, it's a really good platform for new funds and all funds to come on and talk about their proposition and know that they've got the eyes and ears of the advisor market listening, basically.
And I guess to both of you, Simon first, I mean, really what you're both doing, which is why it strikes me there's a synergy between Hatch and Growth Invest. It's sort of almost democratizing sort of a part of the investment market that perhaps 10 years ago, to Dan's point, was quite hard to access. You almost had to know somebody who pointed you in the right direction. It was often seen as being for much sort of wealthier clients, but the sort of minimum that Hatch has got for its EIS, for example, makes it much more accessible to investors who don't consider themselves to be high net worth individuals.
Absolutely, and that is a very good thing. I mean, we've seen it obviously in lots of different markets. That's kind of what the internet has allowed us to do, is firstly present that freedom of choice, but then obviously kind of information retrieval is difficult, and prioritization, and that's where you need really good quality platforms like Growth Invest to be able to kind of give you that kind of educated, edited choice, really, because it's very easy equally to drown in that once you do realize how many there are. And so having that expert kind of quality control over the top is equally important today, I think, because otherwise you can soon be very lost to the consumer, which is why, as I say, that education layer is absolutely critical to know what good looks like and how to select good in this plethora of choice.
And Dan, you're really what you're doing, as you said, is kind of bringing more of this market to a wider part of the advisor market, who either historically didn't know about it or thought the administration and perhaps some of the compliance issues too onerous for them to be active in?
Yes, yeah. I mean, look, our proposition, as I touched on earlier, is about solving administrative problems for advisor firms so that they can spend more time educating the clients on these products. And, you know, what does that look like? We deal with a wide array, as you might expect, of clients, right from, you know, independent single IFAs up to large nationals and networks. But the fundamental principles are that most of the assets historically in these VCT, EIS alternatives portfolios have been supported and reported on via spreadsheets or similar. You know, there is absolutely an inadequacy on the reporting right across the marketplace. So, you know, we engage with advisors, we take their historic assets, we look at them, we clean the data, we get them to a point where they are accurate and valuations are absolutely accurate. And that's kind of point one, where the advisor can now report to clients adequately, and they know that all the tax forms, supporting documentation is held in one place. Thereafter, they can invest digitally, safe in the knowledge that all of this, the ongoing information is going to flow back in. And importantly, you know, diversification, as we've touched on, it's simple to do that from one central portal. And it's very difficult to do that if you have to log on to 3, 4, 5, 6 other portals. So what we're finding is advisors work with us to build process and get structures and controls around this area of their business. And for the most part, they look at this as a real growth area, a new business line, and that they're going to drive more widely across their advisor base. And so it's no longer just for the specialist advisors that tend to like EIS. This is an asset class that we as a business need to get more involved in. So we give them the piping and the controls for that, and help to educate their wider advisors so that they can get out there and ultimately write more business.
Lovely. And let's just sort of wrap up where we started. Dan, with you, why is it important for yourself and GrowthInvest to be supporting the Celebrating Entrepreneurs initiative that Hatch is promoting?
It's fundamental to kind of everything we do. You know, to go all the way back when GrowthInvest was forming as an idea, the fundamental motivation was to help entrepreneurs get access to capital. You know, and I think you guys are doing a great job and have already flagged, you know, SMEs are delivering, you know, close to 50% of jobs in the UK. There's the obvious tax revenues that come out of the back of that. You know, myself, I kind of look at this and you've got innovators and entrepreneurs, and sometimes they're the same people, but you know, there's amazing innovations, you know, happening on a daily basis, whether it's systems, you know, technology, consumables, whatever it may be. Without entrepreneurs, these innovations don't get out to the masses, right? Somebody's got to do the hard work and get this thing out there, connect the audience, and ultimately that drives us forward, you know, and enriches our lives going forward. So entrepreneurs bring progress for all of us and make life better. So, you know, supporting them is super, super important to us. And, you know, notwithstanding the fact where we are right now in a post or nearly post-COVID world with a Brexit right around the corner, you know, I think we should be supporting these guys even more because they're so important to our future. Lovely.
That's a perfect point to end. Dan, thank you very much for your time today, and good luck with GrowthInvest going forward into 2021. Simon, as ever, really enjoyed having you as part of the programme, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lawrence.